Welcome back, Shalligators. Do you guys remember a few weeks ago when I was like, I'm gonna be looking bad because I'm like working a lot and doing things, and you're like, nuh-uh, girl. Yeah, now you're like, ooh, it's a bad day to play the lottery. I'm not feeling so lucky. Here I am, looking grubby. But that's okay. That's all right, because we're just chicks in our bookish era, our bookish reading era, our bookish writing era, and we're here to come together for a common cause, which is to trash Jennifer Lopez. Okay, we're gonna trash. What is happening with Jennifer? Okay, so J.LO, who I want to love. I mean, I do. You know her weird rock opera thing that she did? Oh, it like struck me. Her love addiction thing. And I got a lot out of it, which was chilling, right? That was frightening. That was frightening for me. When people say, you remind me of J.Lo, they better be talking about my body and not my dating history. So J.Lo went on Howard Stern, like that fucking guy. Like, could you not get a spot on Call Her Daddy? Why are you talking to Howard Stern? Why is anyone talking to that idiot? Okay. And he says, you know, Jen, in his weird voice, and he's always too close to the mic. He's like, Jennifer, do you think you've ever been truly loved? And she would have hoops. Is she wearing a fur? She's like always wearing like a fur and hoops and like kind of clear sunglasses. And she's always got gum. Like she doesn't, but she does, right? No. Have you ever been left? No. Do you think you have, he says, do you think you have really experienced loving someone? She says, yes. What I learned, it's not that I'm not lovable, it's that they're not capable. My first thought when I saw this was, what a bitch. What a bitch. And not just a bitch, what a chaos demon. What an absolute chaos demon. We're gonna break this down because, you know, I asked you guys on Instagram, what do you think of this? And it's a good 50-50 split. Half of you girls were like, chaos demon. And one of you girls nailed it. You said, she doesn't want love, she wants codependency. She wants codependency. But then another good chunk of you girls said, you know what? I would agree with her. I don't know that I've ever really been truly loved, and men don't know how to give or receive love. So we're just like doing our best over here and like serving up love on a silver platter, and they're like, brah. And they're the chaos demons, not us. What if both are true? We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about what is love and how to find someone who truly loves and sees you. I'm gonna give you some like practical exercises. But before we get started, we have a quick word from today's sponsor. Would you like to know why I'm a huge disappointment to my family of medical professionals? Because I'm the girl that can't make a doctor's appointment for herself. I am. It's better now, but when I lived in New York City and I was already on like anxiety level 10, forget about it. The only reason I did not die of scurvy while I lived there is because of today's sponsor, a company called ZocDoc. Okay, so while I was living there, I was just so overwhelmed all the time. And if I could even realize that I needed to see a doctor, I had absolutely no methodology for picking one. I would literally go on Google and just pick whoever's name I liked best. Like, oh, her name's Natasha. Sounds like a hot chick name. Sure, she's my new dermatologist. ZocDoc fixed all of that. It's like doctoring for people who are just too overwhelmed to even make a phone call. And there's no shame in it, girl, none. ZocDoc is a free website, it's free, where you can compare in-network providers to see who does what you need, what their availability is. You can book right there with a click. Plus, with tons of verified patient reviews and detailed doctor profiles, you can get a real sense of the provider and their practice before you even step foot into the office. And the best part, you can see the doctor's actual opening appointment times. And ZocDoc appointments also happen really fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. So look, whether you have scurvy or tetanus, that's okay. You don't need to use ZocDoc. They cover everything from mental health to dental to eye care to dermatology. So listen, go to my link, ZocDoc.com/Shallon to compare high quality providers in network nearby with your availability in an instant. Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring today's video. Okay, let's get back to it, Shalligators. Okay, let's talk J.Lo. I gotta go over this again. Do you think you've ever been truly loved? No. Hoops. Do you think you have experienced loving someone else? Yes. It's not that I'm not lovable, it's that they're not capable. Jennifer. Let's see what you guys had to say. Vanessa, she's rewriting history. I'm sure she's been loved before. Jessica, how to recognize love versus bullshit versus your own bullshit. Danny, when you've been engaged that many times, you need to look inward. Okay. Is it really that they can't love or they just don't want your love? Oh, this is so good. And I think that like we're living in the age of like overdiagnosing narcissists or sociopaths. I can't tell you how many girls tell me it's like my ex, he was a narcissist. He was a narcissist. No, girl, he just didn't like you. He just didn't like you and he strung you along. He was a stringer alonger. He was a breadcrumber. He was a fuckboy. Was he a narcissist? I don't know. And when we tell ourselves this chronically about people, it's only gonna hurt more when you see them in a relationship after that. Because you're not gonna understand what happened. And sometimes they really did get into a stupid bullshit ass relationship with a girl who's clearly an inferior. You were too much, so they found less. But it's important to like not paint everyone with that brush. And I think it's a statistical impossibility that every single person Jennifer Lopez has loved, and by the way, I'm sure she's loved people she wasn't engaged to, people we don't know about. So like you're telling me in 56 years, no one has ever loved you? Jen, I love you, girl. You are not that complex. 2 women married Stephen Hawking. That's a complex man. That's a complex man, right? I just don't think that like you are so unseeable. Do you know what I mean? Because what I immediately thought of when I read this quote was Penn Affleck. Remember Penn Affleck? So after J.Lo did her weird rock opera, she did an even stranger documentary of making the rock opera or something called The Greatest Love Story Never Told, about her and Ben Affleck, who seemed much more like a hostage and much less like a willing participant. And she had turned over all of these love letters that he had written her the first time they were together in like 2002 or whatever it was. And he was like, you, what? You did what? And the cast and crew, or the crew, called him Penn Affleck because he wrote all these letters to her. And I was like horrified for him. That's such a violation. And I say this as someone who lives her life on the internet. And if I'm like, yo, that is a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far. And so I just think, you know what this whole thing is giving, this interview is giving? It's giving Demi Lovato. It's giving shades of Demi Lovato, where, you know, every other year Demi would come out with a documentary being like, I'm sober now. Oh, the other one, the other doc where I said I was sober? No, I wasn't sober then. I wasn't sober then. I'm sober now, though. 18 months later. I was not sober then. I am sober now. Just don't check back in with me. It's giving that. It's like, so wait a minute. Were you lying then or are you lying now? Was this not a great love story? If so, if that is your assertion, provide some receipts. Because you provided a lot of receipts that this was an amazing love story in the form of this poor man's heartfelt letters that he wrote as like a Boston, like Dunkin' and cigarettes and coffee and whatever. You know, you're not a fucking queer, but I fucking love you anyway, Jen. I tap that ass all night. You know, like this is what I picture him writing. You had evidence that he does love you to the point that you made a documentary that absolutely no one asked for about the love. And now you're like, oh no. And it's not even like, hey, of course I've been loved. Was it a perfect love? Is it exactly the way I would have wanted to be loved? No, but yes, of course I've been loved. That's not what she said. Nope. Nope, they're not capable. Nope. It just seems like a very big 180. And when people do these huge 180s, yeah, it's like, well, are you lying then or are you lying now? And it erodes trust. Not that I wake up every day asking myself, how much do I trust Jennifer Lopez a day? What's my J.LO trust-o-meter at? But I say that because it speaks to delusionality. It speaks to delusionality. Like, and therefore, I wonder, does she know what love is? How does she define love? Love is something a lot like beauty. It's the kind of thing where, like, we assume our definition is everybody's definition. What? Come on, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. You don't believe me? I have 2 words for you, barrel jeans, all right? Don't make me go off on fucking barrel jeans. Or those wide leg jeans that girls crop like at their ankle for like maximum squattiness, just max squat. I want to look like a log that just rolled off just the thing where they cut them into log. I want to look like that. I want people, when they see me coming, I want them to be reminded of one thing, and that's the log ride at Knott's Berry Farm in California. That's it, okay? Maybe an old-timey gold mine shaft. I don't know, but it's got to involve timber, giant tree trunks. That's how you look. You don't look good. No, you don't. Stop saying that you like them and stop saying that they're comfortable. You want to look comfortable? Wear what I'm wearing. And I look bad, but I know I look bad. Okay, I know this. I'm not like fashion. The chick at Anthropology told me to buy these. They only hire liars. Anyway, I digress. Where were we? J.Lo delusionality barrel jeans. Anyway, love is like beauty. You think that everyone has the exact same definition of it. And if you're lucky, they do. If you're lucky, all the love languages line up, right? All of the communication styles are perfect. All the pillars of compatibility are there, which we will get to in a second. But more often than not, your definition of love is gonna look a little different than someone else's. And perhaps that's what Jennifer was trying to get at when she said they don't have the capacity, the ability, whatever the fuck she said. But it sure didn't come out very polite. It sure did not come out very polite. I think you girls saying she wants codependency and not love, it's spot on. Because let's go back to her most recent relationship, Ben Affleck. Do you remember when I called it? Do you remember? I remember. She just broke it up with A-Rod, who looks like a boiled hot dog. He does. And I said, I was in Palm Springs, interrupting my vacation. I said, mark my words, she will go back to Ben Affleck. Because she feels old, she feels washed up. She's not, but she feels like that. I mean, you feel like that when you get out of a relationship where someone has basically been cheating on you, or even if just, we feel like that at 27 when we get dumped by someone who we think was gonna be our forever. You're like, I can't believe I have to start over. It's the mental thing of, I cannot start this shit from scratch. Whether you're 27 or 57, it doesn't really hit any different. So I said, she's gonna go back to Ben because he is a time machine to the good, to youth, right? She was what, like 23 or something when they were dating and engaged? To her fame was at a peak. She's not the biggest pop star in the world by any means. Her albums flop. What's her radio hit? To pre-kids. I mean, have you seen those things? Who's cutting their hair? I don't even, oh my God. I can't. The before times, right? The before times. And she will go back to him as like this time machine back to that version of herself. When nothing mattered. Like there was no consequences, just the blush of youth, the mania of youth and being in love and not understanding really all that much about life in the most beautiful way. And that's exactly what she did. And everything went south when she realized he's not a time machine. He's a person with that giant weird phoenix tattoo on his back, remember? And he's not just a person, He's an alcoholic and a gambling addict. Isn't that his thing? Hasn't he been to rehab like 5 times? And he's got that weird daughter. I'm sorry, I'm just shredding everyone's kids. He's got that weird daughter who won't stop wearing a mask. Like someone, I don't know what you have to do to that kid, but just like somebody help her. Someone help this poor little Bambi on ice creature. So to Jennifer, like her concept of love is insane. It's not love, it's time travel. It's cryogenic freezing. Never let me age. You have to always see me as this other version of myself. Now look, who knows what went on in that relationship? I could be completely wrong. I don't know, allegedly, reportedly. But if I had to guess, based on psychology and based on the fact that I'm the smartest woman who's ever lived and the most humble, that's what I would kind of guess went on because of how she describes this. Because she says, I've never been loved. I've never been loved. That's an insane thing to say at her age and her level of experience. That is an insane thing to say. I am a complicated creature. Let's say Jen and I are both complicated creatures. I'm a big fucking weirdo. I'm this like weird bird that lives here in Montana that people want to like look at but not get too close to. I understand that I'm like a weirdo, okay? I've been loved and I've been seen and accepted. Were those loves checking absolutely every single box? No. But were they checking the majority? Yeah. Yeah. Of course we want to get to like max capacity, box check, everything about blah, 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 blah. But again, you have to understand like, well, what is your definition of love? Some people want absolutely no secrets, 100% transparency, peeing with the door open. They know all of my history. I don't actually like that. I don't like that kind of love. I find it actually oppressive. You know, I am a lady. Can't you tell? Justin's like, she's a liar. I need my like, I don't want to say secrets, like I'm doing shady things, but like I do not actually want to be 100% seen, known, my whole history, everything. If for no other reason, I think it's boring. There's nothing left to learn. How boring. I don't want to know 1 billion every single thing about the person I'm with. I want to discover things. And I want them to feel like they have aspects of themselves that belong only to them. I think that's a really healthy thing. I don't believe that partnership is complete capitulation. Partnership and ownership are not the same thing to me. They're not the same thing. But let's talk about that word ownership. Let's talk about that. Because yeah, what Jen wants is codependency. She wants something that is crazy, that's like worshipful. And what is codependency? Codependency is I care more about your problems than you care about your problems. You get a codependent relationship when you have an addict. I think Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin have a very codependent relationship. There's very often a parentification of one person. You have this creepy parent-child dynamic, yuck. But it works for some people. And clearly, that's what she's after. And I remember so clearly her manager, Benny Medina, saying one time, like, I think she just broken up with Mark, Skeletor. And he's like, I wish she could just be alone for a while. But she always has to be adored. She has to be adored. And even if you watched her rock opera, the whole plot line, I don't even know what it was, but it was like her breaking free from this love addiction, right? And her breaking free from guys who were like ultra intense and just completely up her ass about everything, but then it always turns toxic. And I was like, wow, she is demonstrating so much growth here. Apparently not. Apparently based on this quote, no, she's not. It would have been so much healthier if she's like, younger me would look at my history and say, no one's ever loved me. Now, I say, actually, love is not about nonstop cocaine high intensity. Love is about blah, blah, blah. Something healthier. But she didn't say that. So I just want to flip a table. I'm like, why did you make that whole stupid movie if you aren't actually gonna learn the things that you said you were learning in that? Like, whoa! You are fine outside. It's a beautiful day. It's a half an acre. There's voles out there. There's voles in the yard. Go chase them around. You're a hunting dog. You got that long snout. He's sticking into the grass. Stop it. So ownership, where am I going with that? When you have someone who has this agenda attached to them, Ben Affleck's agenda was the time machine, right? Like Casper Smart, that guy who looks like a frog, who's a dancer and potentially gay, maybe. Didn't we see him like a gay porn thing, something? Cowboy, cut it out. His agenda was adoration. Adoration. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Do you know what I mean? When you, this animal, don't you give me that look. Don't you give me that sour puss ass look. Come here, let me take your collar off. You're fine. You can come up here. Do you want to come up here? Come on. Hi. Who is it? Come here. No. Love me and participate. No. Okay. All right. Let's talk about, yeah, I love you. Talk about creatures that, with unrealistic expectations. Will you just come late with, you're too heavy for me to pull up. Anyway, J.LO, adoration. When you have someone with that agenda attached to them, what you are saying is you need to be saved. You need to be saved. You cannot deal with the age you're at. You cannot deal with just a normal amount of love. The hole's too deep. The hole's too deep. You gotta have more. And when you need to be saved, we talk about the emotional getaway card, don't we? You're running. You gotta get away from something. The car comes up, a door opens. They're like, get in. In this fantasy, do you stop, you screech to a halt, and you're like, are those leather interiors? I'm a vegan, I prefer cloth. What make and model is this? What's the smog check? You're like, great! You don't care what color, you don't care what it is, you just gotta go. Well, dating's a lot like that. When you are just desperate to get out of something, you don't give a fuck what shows up, as long as it's going in the direction you need it to. And do you know what that makes you? When you are willing to hand over control of your life and your happiness, that makes you at best a child, and okay, who are you gonna attract if you're a little baby? Daddy, and not fun daddy. I don't mean fun daddy, I mean like daddy, like oppressive daddy. And we know that that's maybe been her experience, because in her weird rock opera, like the guy who played her lover was like abusive. Yeah, that's who shows up. That's who shows up. Or you're a pet. Because those are the two creatures that need constant care and cannot fend for themselves, kids and pets. And guess what? Pets don't get a vote. Pets go where their owners go. They can raise a little bit of a fuss. That's kind of all they can do. So for her to say, no, I haven't been fully loved, if you are looking to be saved, no shit you haven't been fully loved. Because clearly, she's defining love as something that is maybe reciprocal, maybe balanced. I don't know. But she is not defining it as, how do I say this? It's like the kind of love she's after is not the kind she says that she wants. I think in her mind she's saying, oh, I want like all this respect and, you know, fairness and equality. I would assume that that's what she would say. But based on how she acts and who she chooses, no, it isn't. So how do we not, J.LO? How do we not do this, okay? And then we're gonna finish up this, and then we're gonna talk about like people who can't give us love, because that's not incorrect. It's not incorrect. But they're actually gonna tie into one another. They're all gonna tie together. How do we not, J.LO? First of all, you have to define, what does love mean? What is the definition of success? What is success? Well, there are 4 pillars of compatibility. We've discussed these before, but why not have a refresh? Sexual compatibility, right? You gotta have good sex, gotta have good chemistry. It blunts the edges of everything else. Trust me, I've been in a relationship, a few, without them, and I just wanted to murder them over like the way they put a pillowcase on. Murder. But a guy, I wanted to like jump his bones. I'm like, you can put a hole in the wall, I really don't care. Whatever. It keeps you from killing people. Sexual compatibility. Shared values. If you're super religious, you're not going to vibe with someone in a completely opposite religion for very long. Democrats and ultra Republicans, not really going to vibe that long. Yeah, there are cases of it, but you have to assume you are the rule and not the exception, right? You're in the center of the bell curve, not these weird outliers. And why set yourself up for failure? Why set yourself up for failure in really irritating dinner time discussions? Shared values. Shared goals. You want kids, he doesn't. You're a big city, he's small town. Not gonna work. And number 4, one that people overlook, recreation. Do you like to do the same things on a Saturday afternoon? What do your vacations look like? Are they similar? Are they completely different? This was a big issue in my marriage. We did not recreate the same way at all. And I would actually add my own 5th one, which is communication styles. I do not think that you can have a healthy, successful relationship when like one person thinks it's okay to ice somebody else out. Or someone's a screamer and the other one gets like very icy logical. I think you have to be able to kind of like meet each other halfway on that. Or at least be willing to learn the other communication styles. But let's just say that there's only 4. The fucked up thing is you cannot be missing one of them. You take one of those away, the relationship collapses. Which is the most important? They all are. They all are. Now, for some people out there, no, they're not. No. I'm not talking about the pigeons and the riffraff, right? Yeah, some people can be in a sexless marriage. Some people can just be like, no, I don't need kids. They can do that because I don't know. I have absolutely no idea what would incentivize someone to deny things that they need, and you need all 4 of these things. You need all 4 of these things. We especially do, because we are complex, high-value people. So of course we're not going to compromise, which is why typically people like us, the hotties, the bad bitches, we have a harder time dating. Because we're like, well, no, I'm not going to be in a sexless relationship. Well, no. This puppy dog's as cute as right now. No, I'm not going to like give up my goals. I'm not going to pretend that I don't want something I want. No. So you got to make sure that you're defining what success is. And that's a great place to start. Just the 4 pillars of compatibility. But then you got to look at your own particular like flavor, right? And the way to do this, I think the best way to figure out not what I want out of a relationship, because if you ask, we're all going to say the same damn thing. I want someone who's kind, someone who's fun, someone who's a good communicator, someone who's hot. Of course. But then you look around and you're like, what? You see people pairing up with, it's like, well, he's not particularly ambitious. Why does she love him? He's not very hot. He has no social skills. It's because what we say we want and what we actually need deep inside are very different. They're very different. How do you know? I want you to go back and do some autopsies through your past relationships, like 3 or 4, okay? And I want you to ask yourself, what did I feel saved from in this relationship? Did I feel saved from boredom? From like my future? Did my future feel brighter and more secure because this guy had a lot of money? Did I feel calm and at rest? That was something I recently was experiencing. Like was a huge thing I got out of my relationship, is they were a very calming presence in my life. What is that? Okay? What is that getaway car taking you away from? And I don't want you to apply a story to it. I don't want you to be like, this is so embarrassing. Oh, I feel safe. No. Whatever you need is fine, but you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And I'm not telling you you shouldn't want these things. You shouldn't want financial security. You shouldn't want someone who's restful. Of course you should. And of course, that's something that people should give to you, whatever these things might be. But what I want you to do in the meantime, what I do not think Jennifer Lopez has ever done, is asked, how can I give this to myself for the time being? Believe me when I say, I am right there with you. I am doing this work in step with you. In step with you. I am off the market, like belonging to myself, trying to do all this work. And it sucks. And it's scary. It's scary to try to pour into yourself because my worry is, oh my God, I'm just going to become this island of a person that never needs anyone. And if I want daddy energy and I start to daddy myself, like, then that's the last foothold a man would ever have into my life. I will just become this, like, I won't even be a lesbian. I'll just be a failed heterosexual, just this hermetically sealed, non-plain character. Or maybe I will become someone who doesn't need a getaway car. Who doesn't need a getaway car? What if I can give myself some of what I need? And you know what? I think when we talk about stuff like this, it's like we go too hard. Like in our mind, it's like, oh, I have to 100% fill that part of my life up myself. I just have to do it all myself. No. Try to give yourself like 30 or 40% of what you need. You need, like in a relationship that was like restful for me, I need to just allow myself to rest. And you know what? Me showing up in this stupid fucking t-shirt with barely any makeup on, that's kind of this. Like that is me doing this. This is me saying, you're okay, girl. I don't need a man to force that rest. I don't need a man to be like, can you close your laptop when we're having a conversation? How about I just be a grown-up, act like a woman, and do these things for myself instead of having that agenda be attached to someone else. That's not fair for him, and it doesn't create a great relationship. Because again, you're either a child who has to be like told what to do, or you're a pet. Who wants to date a child or a pet? A pretty toxic person. But who wants to date someone who's self-regulated? Who's like, yeah, I can give myself the things I need, and therefore what you bring into my life is this wonderful extra bonus. But I'm not like starved to death without you adoring me. I am able to come to terms with my age, J.LO, without Ben Affleck having to be a part of it. I'm able to find meaning in my life. And no, I'm not going to reach like satisfaction point 100 and be like, I don't even need a man. But I'm always going to want love. I love love. I love boys. I love love. And we think that giving ourselves everything and really treating ourselves the way that we need to be treated, I think the fear, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you don't feel like this, but my fear is like, that's going to push everyone away. And I tell myself, that's my weird fear demon brain. That's fucking laziness. That's my J.LO brain. That's my codependent J.LO brain. That's like, no, just constantly date and try to get it from everyone else. Whatever. That's not my authentic self. My actual authentic self, who wants me to be happy, says, do you honestly think you're going to have lower market value when you're healthier? You think high value men will be like, yuck. She's not insane enough. Then they're too insane. But let's pivot to the other topic, which is you girls who like definitely felt what she was saying, which is like, yeah, I don't think I've been loved either. I've dealt with guys who can't receive love and they can't give love. The receiving of love, I think, is honestly like almost harder and more heartbreaking to deal with and fucks our life up more than a guy who can't give love. Why? Because we want to save the guy who can't receive love. We want to love him back to life. And we do this, we try to do this because that's what we desperately wanted someone to do for us. We wanted someone somewhere along the way, maybe it goes as deep as a parent, maybe it was a boyfriend or something, who got us after a particularly like bad traumatic time in our life. We wanted them to stop, drop, and roll and completely reorient their life into fixing ours. What a fun agenda for him. We wanted codependency. We wanted codependency. So guess what we're going to give? That's our love language. And we're going to be furious when it's not appreciated and not reciprocated. And guess what? Trying to fix a man? Not reciprocated, not appreciated. They don't like it. So we will waste years of our life trying to fix a man and like get him to receive love. Please don't do this, okay? I don't even know what else. Just don't do this for God's sakes. Because I have a feeling that not only can he not receive love, he's probably not also good at giving it. So what the fuck are you getting around here, girl? I don't think that this man is just pouring into you, and he's so loving and he's so devoted, but he can't receive love. Give me a break. Give me a break. No. So he's not receiving. Your efforts mean nothing. And I also bet he's probably even like resentful of your love. He's just like, ugh. And he's also not giving you much. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? And men who don't know how to receive love, you know what? We have to look at ourselves on this. We have to take some accountability, because why do you even know that beyond one day? Meaning, why are you still sticking around once you read that writing on the wall? He doesn't know how to love me. Why is there a day 2? Why is there a year 2 after you realize that? He can't receive love. I will never forget. When I brought my ex a lasagna because he was super sick. He was furious. Don't you ever let something like that happen again. Furious. Talk about not being able to receive love. Yeah, no, I get it. Why was there a day after that? Why was there one more text? Why? Weakness. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to lose him. Lose what? I am alone. What is more alone than that? I don't know that I have ever felt more alone. And I remember I got his text about it, furious. I was literally on the top of a mountain. And I felt emotionally like I was on the top of a snowy mountain, just like freezing to death. That's how it felt. But I didn't want to lose that. I couldn't possibly replace this dynamic. That's actually rather the point. That's rather the point. So when we stick around, my point is when we stick around these men, all you're doing is saying this shit ass behavior. All you're doing is telling him that it's okay. He doesn't need to learn to love. And babe, you can't teach him. You can't teach him. Which brings me to an example that I give a lot. Going back to what Jen said, they didn't have the capability. My snouty boy, right here. I love him. I would kill for him. I would kill for a lot of things, but I would kill for him. I could ask him a question. Do you love me? Do you? Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? I could ask him a million times in a million languages, a million ways, stern, gentle, whatever. He's never going to answer me because he can't. Because he can't. He is never going to do anything but like cock his little head, and his ears are going to do that thing. He's going to stomp his little paws, and he's at max capacity. That's it. And some people are like that. We always assume that when people aren't giving us what we need, they're withholding on purpose. I do anyway. I paint everyone as the villain, right? I assume they are purposely, spitefully withholding from me. And that's why it fucks me up so bad when they move on with someone after, because I'm like, they're giving her. No, she just requires less. She just requires less. Okay. He didn't change and grow overnight, because if he did, he'd be back at my doorstep with a Cartier box on one knee. If losing me changed him that profoundly, he'd come back. He would come back. Like, that's how that works. When they move on, it's because they didn't grow. They did not grow. That bitch does not have the relationship that you've been dying for. I swear to you, she did not get the amazing version of him because it doesn't exist. She's just a less amazing version of you. She's just a loser-ass version of you. That's it. You might be dealing with the talking dog, with the dog that cannot talk, in fact. Stop assuming that there is some level you just have to unlock with a magic phrase, and then you're going to get all this perfect, incredible love. If it doesn't work on a dog, it's not going to work on Ben Affleck. It's not gonna work on Ben Affleck. I love you. You're the best part of me. I love you so much. You wanna say hi? Hi. Look at this puppy. Look at this puppy dog. Are you the most perfect creature in the whole wide world? You are. But here's the thing. There are needs that I have, emotional needs that you simply can't fulfill. There's things that you can't, okay. You can't know about me, right? Oh, this is corn. This is what we call corn. That means it's happy. Yeah, there's a corn bear. That's who you are. You're just a corn bear. There's things that I need that this puppy dog can't give me. And instead of constantly berating him and trying, I simply get my needs met elsewhere. I simply get my needs met elsewhere. And what if that is a definition of love? Understanding that like your partner's not going to give you 100% of what you need. They're going to give you 80%. They're going to give you 80%. The key is, what is that 80% and what is the 20%? And is what they're not giving you actually, should it be part of the 80%? You know, like sexual chemistry, like emotional support. That's not 20%, dude. 20% is like bad table manners. Okay, we can rock with that. He doesn't care when I rant about my friends. Okay, then I'm gonna have to get that from my friends. He doesn't remember the names of my coworkers. Okay, then I'm gonna have to talk to my other coworkers. Only you can know what falls within that 20%. Only you can know that. But it is very important for us to even sit and do those calculations. And like I said at the beginning, define success. Because otherwise, how are we gonna know? If only J.LO would listen to these videos. If only. Maybe next time. All right, my loves, what do you have to say about this? Do you think you've ever been fully loved? And be real, do you think it's because you have an inappropriate, I know it sounds mean, but definition of what love is? Do you think you're asking for too much? Do you think you're actually asking for too little? And therefore you're gravitating towards fucking losers who aren't even giving you scraps. Do you think you actually kind of need to raise the bar? Well, if you do, join us in the Shallontrage. We're doing all that right now, and Evil Week is coming. All right, I love you girls. I'll see you later.